The Trump administration is preparing to revoke lawful status for non-citizens who entered on humanitarian parole under the Biden administration. Hello, everyone. This is Andre McKinney-Dorval, licensed immigration attorney. In this video, we're going to take a look at a news article that is reporting the Trump administration is preparing right now to revoke the parole status for over 500,000 of individuals who entered on the program known as CHNV. Now, guys, before we take a look at that article, I want to walk us through a timeline. And to do so, I'm going to share my screen with a couple of documents that we previously looked at, but we're going to examine the timeline to see how all this is coming to fruition. Now, on January 20th, the president was sworn in, and on the very same day, he signed a caravan of executive orders. One of those orders was entitled Securing Our Borders. Now, this particular executive order did several things, but as it relates to parole, it effectively terminated all categorical parole programs, and specifically and including the program known as Processes for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, CHNV. So on day one, President Donald Trump, he signs this executive order and he terminates the CHNV program. He also, in this order, gave direction to DHS to apply guidelines and take whatever steps were necessary to put into action this executive order. Now, we know that to be true because we also looked at in a prior video that on January 23rd, the acting DHS secretary, Mr. Benjamin Huffman, he issued this memo, and it's entitled Guidance Regarding How to Exercise Enforcement Discretion. And in the memo, he references the January 20th, 2025 memo that the president signed. And this memo, I've highlighted two sections, and we went over this memo in a previous video. But just to jog your memory, this memo that the DHS acting secretary put out, it did a few things. One of the things that it did is that it says this notice or that notice expands the scope of expedited removal to the statutory maximum under 8 U.S.C. section 1225 sub B sub 1, which, as further explained in the notice, includes certain aliens who have not been continuously present in the United States for 2 years. So that language there says that the government is authorizing its immigration officers to fast-track deportation to include individuals who have been here in the U.S. for up to 2 years to be placed in expedited removal proceedings. Now, this memo also, in one of the last lines of the memo, or the last line, it says, to maximize efficiency in the short term, DHS components may wish to prioritize aliens eligible for expedited removal who fail to apply for asylum within the statutory deadline. Now, let's take a look at the article. Now, guys, this article is dated or being reported as of Monday, February 3rd. And the title of this article, as you can see, it states, Trump will revoke legal status for beneficiaries of humanitarian parole. Now, let's just take a little read of what this article has to say. Now, guys, I do also want to say that I have not been able to find any formal notifications or formal statements from the government revoking the CHNV parole legal status. But according to this article, it reads, the administration of Donald Trump is in the preparatory phase to revoke the legal status of many migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The article goes on to state that the measure would affect more than 500,000 people who arrived in the country, on humanitarian parole. It goes on to state that DHS has developed a proposal outlined in an unpublished notice. Guys, this is the unpublished notice that I haven't been able to locate, but as soon as that it is published, we will definitely be looking at it together. And so, per this news article that we're looking at together, DHS has developed a proposal outlined in an unpublished notice that seeks the definitive cancellation of the CHNV program. The article goes on to report that President Trump suspended the initiative shortly after taking office, and that would be pursuant to the executive order entitled Securing Our Borders. The article goes on to state that, according to President Donald Trump, the initiative of having that parole program is claimed to be that it constituted an improper use of parole under immigration authority or immigration law. And this article goes on to continue to report that the Trump administration would revoke the parole status of those who entered the U.S. under CHNV policy and place them in deportation proceedings if they have not applied for or obtained another immigration benefit, such as asylum, a green card, or temporary protected status. Now, this article continues to state that those individuals who haven't obtained another form of protective status, they're at risk of being placed in removal proceedings. Now, let's talk about what are some options for the current parolees who entered under the CHNV humanitarian program. Now, each options is going to be a bit different depending on the particular country that someone is from. And I do want to state, guys, this is for general information purposes. Now, on my screen here, this article was published by Immigration Impact. And we're going to take a look at, in this article, Immigration Impact, they actually outline some of the options CHNV parole beneficiaries have. Now, let's begin with Cubans. Now, this article from Immigration Impact, it reads, Cubans are allowed to apply for green cards after a year in the U.S. under the Cuban Adjustment Act. Therefore, any Cuban who is otherwise eligible for a green card, you don't have to rely on CHNV parole for the full 2-year program, okay? Because under the Cuban Adjustment Act, someone who is here, who has been lawfully admitted, inspected, or parole, can apply for green card status after a year and a day. So this applies only to Cuban nationals, and that's under the Cuban Adjustment Act. Now, for non-citizens from Haiti, now this article reports that Haiti was redesignated for temporary protective status for 18 months in June of 2024. Now, for those Haitians who arrived after that date under CHNV, you're not able to apply for TPS now. However, if temporary protective status is redesignated for Haiti in February of 2026, individuals who arrived after the last redesignation may be able to apply. but that is if the country designation for Haiti is redesignated. Another thing to note, it is unclear as of right now whether TPS for Haiti will be extended. And so we won't know whether the government decides to extend temporary protective status for Haitian citizens who have TPS right now. We won't know till approximately 60 days before February 2026 whether the government is going to extend it. The government can extend, the government can terminate, and the government can redesignate. As of right now, it is unknown what the government will be doing. Now, moving to Venezuelans. Now, the government has announced TPS for Venezuelans under the 2023 designation has been terminated. 60 days after the Federal Registry notice is published, the termination will be effective. So work permits associated with the 2023 Venezuelan TPS will no longer be valid. So we still have Venezuelans with TPS under the 2021 TPS designation. Venezuelans with TPS under the 2021 designation, that TPS time period expires September of 2025. Again, 60 days prior to that expiration, the government is going to announce whether they are going to extend the 2021 TPS designation for Venezuela, or whether they're going to terminate, or whether they will redesignate. We don't know what that decision is at this moment because we are not at that time period where the government is required to make such an announcement. Now, for Nicaraguans, the country of Nicaragua is not on the TPS designated list of countries unless someone from Nicaragua who has parole under the CHNV that is subject to being revoked, because I do want to make mention that many individuals who entered on CHNV parole, that parole for many of them has expired. That parole was announced in January of 2023. And so for many, they're coming upon or have, their parole has expired just by virtue of 2 years having already taken place. And so for individuals from Nicaragua, unless you have a pathway to be able to apply for a green card, because Nicaragua is not on the designated list of countries for temporary protective status, Nicaraguans are greatly at risk. Now, as we read in the memo that the government put out, they have been directed to maximize efficiency in the short term. And that means they may prioritize individuals who have failed to apply for asylum within the statutory period. So, guys, if you are anyone who is a CHNV parolee and you don't have another form of protective status, you want to make sure that you speak to an immigration attorney about your particular immigration matter to determine what options are available to you. We've read in the article that once the lawful status is revoked, the government will be issuing notice to appear for removal proceedings in immigration court. Guys, this video was intended for general information, but to keep you informed, this is what is being reported. Again, as of this publication of this video, the government has not put out an official notice indicating that they are going to revoke. However, based on the fact that President Trump signed the executive order, followed by the DHS acting secretary's memo, it is highly possible that the government, in fact, will revoke the lawful status for CHNV parolees. So, guys, be sure you speak to an immigration attorney if you are someone at risk of having your parole status revoked, especially if you do not have another pathway for protected status. I do thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.